Welcome to episode 57 of the AMT podcast. Now, upon request, I've brought back the intro music. YouTube have been flagging some of my videos for copyright material as of late, even going so far as blocking some of the content from some of my older videos just because of the music. So until I find something better, this is going to have to do. But before we get started, there is an announcement I want to make, and that is my Discord channel, which is now up and running. So I used to have a Telegram where I used to live stream for 2 years, but I'm back with something even better this time. The channel now has several chat rooms where everyone can talk. It's not just me sharing what I'm doing. Everyone can interact with each other, and there's different chat rooms for different sports. So there's one for racing, one for cricket, one for football, boxing and MMA, and crypto. And I share all my trades. Other traders share theirs. Ideas are scrutinized, not vilified. And we have a good mix of beginners and seasoned, profitable traders. So you can ask them questions whenever you want. Everyone is willing to help, including me, of course. And we've been live for barely a week, and already thousands of pounds of profit or dollars has already been made. So everyone's learning, everyone's winning. There was a real demand for this kind of a setup. So I'm really happy to finally get this started. So if that's something you want to be a part of, then I'll leave the link in the description below. But with that out of the way, today I want to talk about Bitcoin. Now, at the time of recording this, Bitcoin has finally broken that landmark mythical figure of $100,000. It's been a very long time coming. I personally thought this would happen 3 years ago in 2021. I even tweeted it out, but it's better to be 3 years early than a day late. And that's something that most people have a hard time with when it comes to investing, because people only want to jump on the gravy train when prices are breaking all-time highs and everything is going up. And this is just about the worst thing you can do as an investor, because in all likelihood, if you're only getting involved because Bloomberg or MSNBC are shilling it, or your neighbors or your Uber driver are buying it, 99% of the time, those are signs that we're in peak market mania mode. Or in other words, you've missed the boat. It might go up another 5 or 10%, but as you know, nobody in crypto sells for 10%. Everyone is chasing those mega 3 or 4 figure percentage gains. And the only way of even remotely having a chance of capturing anywhere near those sort of gains is to buy during a bear market when prices are going down or just going around in circles. So for the last 3 years, you've had a chance to pick up Bitcoin from anywhere between $15,000 and $60,000 before that leg up to 100K over the last month, which we'll talk about in a bit. Now, bear markets in crypto usually last around 3 to 4 years, and this is where retail investors have absolutely no interest. Investing is very herd mentality. Nobody wants to buy something that's falling in price, or something that's not trending in mainstream news. But this is where the value is, and the 3 or 4 years you spend in the shadows accumulating, that's where the big gains are made. The average investor just doesn't have the mettle to watch prices move against them or go around in circles for long periods of time. But that's the reality of investing. I find the best way to mitigate against getting cold feet is just to stop checking the prices every single day. For the most part, investing is unsatisfying. 99% of the time, your portfolio is going to be trading below its all-time high. You have to constantly drain your funds in order to buy an asset that you're probably not going to sell for a long time. What's arguably the hardest part dealing with an asset class as volatile and controversial as crypto is dealing with these naysayers and armchair critics who have absolutely no skin in the game, but the strongest opinions. And if it's not them, it's the sheep who have absolutely no interest in buying it when you tell them to. And then when it's trending, when their neighbors or the Uber drivers buying it, then they start blowing up your phone. And I think we're getting close to that market mania. I don't think we're there yet, but this is a significant time because Bitcoin has finally broken that mythical 100K barrier. So what happens from here? Well, this is the third bull run that I've seen and that I've been involved with. And there's a few points that need to be made. Now, firstly, let's talk about this recent leg up from 60 to 100K. Now, it all kicked off on the back of Donald Trump winning the presidential election back in November. Now, I touched on this before, but the expectation is that Trump's administration is in favor of deregulating markets, which could likely lead to blockchain innovation. He's already nominated Paul Atkins to be the chairman of the SEC, the Securities and Exchanges Commission. Now, Atkins is an advocate of cryptocurrencies, and Donald Trump has praised him for his vision in embracing digital assets, which is a bit of a U-turn because Trump was anti-crypto before. So he's now in favor of these markets, and the proof is in the people he's already electing. Paul Atkins will be replacing the current chairman, Gary Gensler, I think his name is pronounced, who was against crypto. If you've ever dealt with American-based crypto exchanges like Coinbase or FTX, you'll know firsthand how much of a nightmare it is trying to get your money out, or the invasive KYC you have to deal with, and just the exorbitant fees. So hopefully, deregulating the markets will lead to competition and will lead to better products. And it's also looking likely that the US government may establish a Bitcoin reserve of their own. That's not completely off the table. So, this is really good news for the market, and it did respond accordingly. It's been a massive, 40% gain in its price only in the last month. Now, if you look at the price action from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin has topped out. It's had two bearish candles on the daily chart since it broke 100K. It struck $105,000, depending on which exchange you look at, before an aggressive pullback to around 90 to 92,000, resulting in over $1 billion in liquidations within 24 hours before recovering back to just over 99K, which is roughly where it is at the time of recording this. So this is a short-term bearish signal. And now people are wondering if this is the top or are we going to go higher? But if you've watched Bitcoin's price action for long enough, you shouldn't be fazed, because we've seen these patterns happen many times before. So in the last bull run, Bitcoin was rejected when it first broke its previous all-time high in 2020 and hit $20,000 for the first time. And then it pulled back to 16K, only to double 3 weeks later before another correction from 40,000 to 30,000. Now, if we go further back to the bull run before that in 2017, 2018, when Bitcoin broke 10K for the first time ever, pulled back to 9,000 before it continued rising. So this is nothing new. People buying at the top, selling at the bottom. It's just classic sheep retail behavior. And it seems like we're seeing that again right now. So the question everyone wants to know is what happens now, and how far does it come back if it does pull back? Now, whilst previous cycles only serve as clues, the fundamental difference this time around is the market players involved. So there's a lot more heavyweights buying Bitcoin this time, which I'll touch on in a bit. But with the increase in liquidity, if we're to assume lower volatility and diminishing returns, in my opinion, a 10 to 20% correction is not completely off the table. I would not be completely surprised if it came back down to, say, around maybe 80K before taking off again. Anything below that would surprise me, but it would be a welcome bonus. It's been this has been a really big sustained move for the last month. So this is a healthy cooling off. And in my opinion, it's just a local top. Nothing just soars into orbit without any sort of correction. That's never happened. And in my opinion, if a correction does happen, it's going to be no more than 20%. So there's a few ways to look at this. From a purely short-term standpoint, if you're trying to time the market, which I don't recommend for most people, short-term pullback based on technical analysis is likely, and there's a good chance you can pick up Bitcoin at a better price. The second way you can look at this is from a longer term standpoint. Like I said, past cycles serve as clues. So when Bitcoin hit its peak price in the 2021 bull run, the next floor price bottomed out very close to its previous all-time high in 2018 at around $16,000. Now, no two cycles are the same, obviously, but if the next bear run pans out anything like the last one did, then you'd be wise to avoid purchasing Bitcoin entirely until the next bear market, where we'll likely see Bitcoin bottom out somewhere around the $60,000 to $70,000 mark. So if you didn't pick up Bitcoin between $16,000 and $60,000 over the last 3-4 years, then you're probably gonna have to wait another couple of years to get a price anywhere near that 60K mark again. The good news, however, is that altcoins tend to lag behind Bitcoin. In 2017, when Bitcoin's price didn't really gain traction till around April or May, Ethereum and other coins didn't start taking off till around May or June. Now, ETH has already started to move. It's climbed to $4,000. And I've been advising my group to buy it since it was $3,300. So we're already 20% up just in the last couple of weeks based on this entry alone. I also advised buying Solana at $140. And last week, I advised removing the principal, for around an 80% return and putting that money back into Ethereum. And my rationale for doing those trades is all explained in my group. But this is only the beginning, because as Ethereum begins to move, that's when the altcoin market just goes berserk, when you see those 4, 5, or even 6-figure percent returns. So you need to be well positioned and you need to know exactly what it is you're looking for. Like I said, I'll be posting my trades and my positions in my group. So remember, the link is going to be in the description below. But the final point I want to make, and the last angle, in my opinion, for buying Bitcoin is for those who are truly in it for the long game and don't plan on selling. And if that's you, and it should be the majority of you, then today's price, tomorrow's or next month's shouldn't really matter. Because when the bear market arrives again, just buy at a lower price and dollar cost average your way in. You know, the investment game is a game of attrition. It rewards those who stick around the longest. You don't have to be a genius and look for the next big thing and time the markets. Now, crypto is only a shortcut to the masses. The best performers in this asset class are those who really don't care what's going to happen today, next month, or next year. They just keep buying whenever they have a chance to and just dollar cost average their way in over the long term. You just can't lose that way. Now, personally, I don't believe future price corrections are going to be anywhere near as severe as we've seen in the past. I don't think we'll get below 50K again. Of course, I could be wrong, but as I said earlier, with every cycle, there's a new influx of liquidity from even bigger and bigger market players. In 2021, there was rich individuals involved. Now there's major institutions who are backing it. 1 million Bitcoins alone are already locked in exchange traded funds. MicroStrategy is continuing to pour tens of billions of dollars into it. The El Salvador government are buying a Bitcoin a day at least. And the likes of BlackRock, the biggest asset management firm on the planet, is increasing its holdings in stable coins like Ethereum. And this hasn't even hit mainstream news yet. So personally, I don't believe we've hit peak market mania yet. If you have been accumulating over the last 3 years or anything below 60,000, I wouldn't be selling. Altcoins haven't broken out. Meme coins, NFTs and punks, they haven't broken out. Uncles, Uber drivers, neighbors haven't started FOMOing their way in at the top. So when that starts to happen, I'll provide another update in due course. So to summarize, if you're long-term orientated, which you should be, then go ahead and buy. There's never a wrong time. Just price average your way in. And if you're more short-term orientated, if you really want to try and time the market in this bull run, then I think a likely 10 to 20% correction is not off the table. So if you're long-term orientated, go ahead and buy. There's never a wrong time. Just price average your way in and just hold it. But if you're more short-term orientated during this bull, you really want to time the market, then I think a correction is likely around the 10 to 20% mark. Don't forget to like, share, comment, leave your thoughts below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.